Hey there, Sparkers. Welcome to another episode of our RPG tutorial series. This is episode 12. Today we're going to be looking at a couple of different topics. The first is going to be having our food items here, our apple and our blueberry, actually be added to our inventory and consumed from our inventory. Right now we're just eating them as we pick them up. Second, we're going to be looking at this coin and making it into a real currency instead of an item that I can actually pick up and wield, like a sword or a shield. That doesn't really make that much sense. And then third, we're going to be looking at quantities. So if I have multiple copies of this sword in my inventory, how we can get those to stack on top of each other. So 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. As opposed to I have an axe here and them all listed out. All right, so let's get started. So let's start with the food. So if I open up this apple here, I can see the current behavior on it. So whenever I interact with this, it's going to heal what's interacting with it, and that's in this case is my character. It's going to heal it by 0.25, or if you can think about that, it's 25% of my max health of my character. Then it's going to play an effect and destroy. And we don't want to do that anymore. We want to actually pick this up similar to our other items and add it to inventory. So I'm going to first copy this code. I'm going to actually get the healing logic in my inventory first. So I'm going to open up that brain. Let's go over to the second page. Let's scroll down to where we're actually interacting with things in our inventory. So that's when I press A here. So when it's a melee weapon or a shield, we looked at how we unequip what we currently have and equip the new selection. We saw that in our last episode. So we're going to come down and add a new line right here, and we're going to paste it. Let's delete that interact tile for now. So what we're going to be doing is sorting these new items. Again, it's going to be by it is what we're looking at. That's the current inventory selection. And we're going to look at when it is part of an object set. We're going to create a new object set. And we're going to actually use a new tile we haven't used before, and that is called intersect. So if I go to compare and then intersect, it lets me know when basically this is part of another thing. So if I choose intersect, then I can go to values, global, and then we're going to make a new object set. So values, object set, new object set, and let's just call this heal. This is where all the objects that do some kind of healing will they'll share the same behavior. So we'll create an object set there. So when this object now is part of this object set, it's going to do these things when I choose A. So we want it to still heal it. It is now referencing something else. In this case, it's the item. And so we want to make sure that says heal me, because this is running in the character brain. So heal me. And what we want to do is this number right here, we want it to actually become something else. So this is 0.25, and this was kind of like if you think about it, it's a multiplier of my health. So we want to have that be different for our apple and our blueberry. So let's create a new number variable. We'll call it heal multiplier. And it's going to be unique to each of the items. So we want to make sure we qualify it with it. So it's going to heal me by its heal multiplier times my health. So let's fix that. All right. There we go. And let's just make sure that we make that a little bit more readable. So let's put this in parentheses. It's always a good way of keeping it a little bit more readable. Make sure you're getting what you want. So there we go. We have a full expression now. So that multiplied by my health. Okay. And we don't really want to play an effect, but it'd be cool to play a sound actually. So let's go to, let's delete that line and go create and play sound. Let's go to objects, gallery picker. So this is how I open up something in my gallery to look at. Let's just do eat. I believe there's cartoony is the one that I want. Yep, there we go. So we'll do that, and we want to make sure we also make that overlapping, just so if I'm eating multiple things, they're playing on top of each other. And then we'll just destroy it. We want to make sure we do destroy it, not if we didn't have that, it would default to me, so it'd actually destroy my character, which would be a big no-no. All right. So now we know how to look for that item. Let's go actually make sure that we make that the case here, that this will be part of that object set and added to it. So if I go open this brain of my apple, let's actually delete all this code and copy it from another item that we're currently using. So let me copy that, bring it here. Right, so this is how it gets added to my inventory. So we want to keep doing that. We want it to be part of global on player as well, so it shows up there. But let's make sure it's also part of our heal global object set. So I'll do once. We're gonna also just copy this line actually. Save us some time. So global, and then we're gonna do heal. It's gonna increment by me. And then we also want to set its new number variable heal multiplier, and we'll keep it the same. We'll do 0.25 here. So an apple will heal me by 0.25. Okay, there we go. And let's copy this. And let's go to our blueberry here. And let's just paste that same logic. And then we'll make sure this heal multiplier is, let's say it's 0.5. So it'll do 50% because it's a rarer drop, so it should be better. All right. Now, one thing I noticed is I need to correctly set these to my drop loot. It looks like they got off. So if I go here to my in-world picker, I can reset this to my apple. And I'm actually right now going to, let's take this, this was left over from our last tutorial when we were trying to get more shields. Let's also do an apple again. So we're gonna try to get a lot more apples this time around. Okay, so let's go to test. Now something's not gonna work, but let's go find out what that is. There's one thing critical element I'm missing here. So let me beat up some goblins. Let's pick up some apples. Let's take a little damage from him. Okay, so 60, that's good. If I come over here, now it's gonna behave a little weird when I actually go to delete. So if I choose to delete, you notice that this spot kind of opens up in my inventory, and on top of it, but it updates and knows that there's only 4 positions now. So I'm totally off here, and I need to adjust that because I'm destroying something from my inventory, but the inventory doesn't correct itself for the positioning. So I need to make sure I do that anytime I'm destroying something from my inventory. All right, so how do we do that? Well, if I go back over here to my inventory logic cube and I look at our logic here, I need to be able to check when this gets destroyed or when that actually happens. So inventory selection is what I'm looking for. Let's go find, here we go, inventory selection. So to do that, I need to put down this number variable, interior selection, and what I need to do is find out if I'm, basically if I'm at the top of the list or if I'm not. So when I'm less than the global object set on player, so if you remember that list goes, the highest number in that list is the highest position in that count. So I could compare count. So when I'm less than the top of the list, I need to, let's do a new line. All I need to do is make sure my my Y offset, that's how we were controlling where it goes, we need to decrease that. So if I find my Y offset, excuse me, here, and I decrement it, and I believe we're using, let's go up to where I scroll, yeah, 0.1. So 0.1 is what we're using to scroll between here. So I want to make sure I do that. Now, if I'm at the top of the list, it's actually going to adjust fine. I just need to make sure that my player count is, or my inventory selection recognizes I'm at the top of the list again. So to do that is I need to do else. So if I'm at the top of the list, it's going to behave a little bit differently. I need to set my inventory selection equal to the global on player count. Of course, but I'm missing one object this time around. So I need to go to math minus 1 because I just deleted 1. So that's how it's going to know how to behave appropriately, because I'm going to take 1 out. So having that here just like this, as it runs down through, it'll decide, hey, am I at the top of the list? If yes, then I just adjust for the less count. If not, I just need to basically correct my offset by 0.1. And then it'll destroy this apple. So let's go test that in action. pick up these apples. And let's see what happens here. It's like, oh, and I got blueberry too. Great. Okay, so if I destroy blueberry now, you can see that the list appropriately goes up, and I'm scrolling correctly between those 6 remaining items. Now, if I delete one that's not at the top of the list, it correctly adjusts the Y offset, so I stay in my list. So that's why those are really important to have. And, oh, I killed all the guys. Let's try to see if I can get one more where I can actually do damage here, take some damage, and make sure I correctly heal. Okay, I think I got an apple or two. Okay, there we go. Let's take some damage now. So I got health. Let's see if, okay, I'm at 25. So now if I take this apple, I'm just going to go up by 17.5, which is a quarter of my health. There we go. So that worked successfully. And let's do it again. And there we go. So that went up. Perfect. Exactly what I needed to do. Alright, so back to edit. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to look at is treating coins like currency. So right now, let's make sure we're spawning coins here. If I go and select that guy, and let's make sure we get enough coins. So we'll just do both of those. If I go to test here, when I go and pick up coins, let's get a couple to drop here, they're going to get added to my inventory, and they're just going to kind of sit there like they're items, right? So I picked up those 2 coins. I can even, I can't equip them anymore after I decided to only be able to equip melee weapons or shields, so that's good. But they're not, you know, currency is not really treated like that in most RPGs that I've played. Rather, it's they become a number, and thankfully that's really easy to do in Project Spark. So if I go to my inventory brain here, and I'm already on page 2, if I scroll down, I can see when I'm displaying consistent things in my inventory. So we're going to do a new display. Let's just do it right here. We don't want it underneath this for each loop, so let's do it right above. I'm going to display, and we want a total number of coins. So I'm going to do a new text, and this first is just going to be a text string. That's kind of a label on it. So I'll do coins. I like to separate my text strings with pluses to keep it readable. So we'll do plus, and we're going to create a new number variable, and we're going to simply call it coins. Straightforward enough. And let's also make sure we can read this. It's big enough, so let's go to modifiers. Let's go font size, extra large, and then we'll just make sure this goes into screen location, and we'll just put it in the top right for right now. All right. Now we need to, so now we have this number getting displayed here, coins, but these coins aren't being added to it. So let's go to the coin. And so when this is interacted now, what we need to say is instead of it pick me up, we need to say it. We're going to go into math. Oops, excuse me. I need to go first to values, number, then coins. I'm going to increment that by 1. So when I pick up 1 coin, it's going to increment my variable coins by 1. I do not need this line anymore. And then we simply need to destroy this cube. We can also, same way that we did when we were eating the food, we can just do a nice sound that lets us know that we did in fact picked it up, kind of a feedback there. So object gallery, and I can go eat. Instead of eat, we're going to do coin. Oh, excuse me, let's get an I in there. And UI collect coins, a good sound, so we're going to play that. Let's also do, again, overlapping. Ensures that it'll play even if I'm collecting multiple coins at the same time or I have other sounds going on. That's really all I needed to do. So if I go to test, and let's take out some goblins here. So now I'm dropping some coins. So let's pick some of this stuff up. Okay. So now, when I open up my inventory, you can see in the top right, I have coins. I have 4 coins total. And then I have, they're not in my inventory anymore, and I can still select between these different weapons. If I want a shield, oh, I want the shield instead, but I want a knife, etc. But now there's no more coins in this in its inventory. So that's great. So that's the first step of having coins as a currency. It's going to be very helpful in a future video. Actually, our next video, soon to be video where we take a look at a shopkeeper. Not quite the next one, but it's going to be happening pretty soon here. But we can actually see another problem with this inventory system pretty perfectly in right now. So I have two of each. I have 2 fighter shields, 2 knives, and 2 knight's warrior axes, but they're showing up as all unique items. And wouldn't it be a lot cleaner if I just showed 1 knife, but I had 2 of them, 1 fighter shield, but I have 2 of them, and 2 of the knight's warrior axe? I think it would be, and most games do it that way. So how do we add those quantities to our inventory? Well, if I go back to edit here, we're going to actually introduce a new number variable into an item, basically. So I look at the knife. Let's do this in the knife. We want to set a new number variable called quantity per 1. So if you think about this, when it drops, it's like how much is in that drop, right? So maybe like an apple, maybe it's like a bushel of apples, and I wanted it to drop 5 instead. We'll just keep everything at 1 for right now. But quantity is our new number variable. We're going to set this equal to 1 in the knife, because it's only 1 knife dropping. All right. And what's going to happen is that now with this set, when we pick it up, we're going to check to see if we have similarly named items in my inventory. So we're going to use name as the identifier to check. So when interacted, I'm going to look at for each of, and we're looking at the global on player object set, on player. And under here, we can check when my name, so if I just do name, when my name equals it name. So as it cycles between this little list, it will find if there's one that shares the same name as me. And if that's true, then this new quantity number is going to increment. And it's going to increment by my quantity, actually. So we'll put my quantity. Right, so if I picked up 5, it would, or if my quantity was 5, then it would give me 5 instead of just 1, right? So it's better to make that set as that variable itself. And then, if that is true, we're going to destroy this object. So we're going to just only add to that integer instead of actually add a brand new item to it. So destroy. And we'll say destroy me, just for clarity. So we're going to destroy this object that's getting picked up. And then otherwise, so this is going to run now between all these objects. So if it doesn't find anything, it's going to go and run these 2 lines of code. So it'll actually add me now to the players on part of this object set of global on player. And I'll go into the inventory. So that's going to check to make sure I don't add any more. Now we need to display this now actually in our inventory, so it's just not, we actually understand that that's happening. So here on the second page, I was already conveniently at the bottom of it here. In this for each of loop, this is where I'm choosing to display each of these, each of the items in my inventory. And you can see if we have that, in a past video we talked about how it shows if it's equipped or not with this text variable. But we're going to do something similar now with quantities. So I'm going to add a couple pluses here. And let's do it by like a parentheses kind of bracket. So if let's make sure there's a space and then a parentheses. And then we're going to do it quantity number, and let's see if I can find it, quantity. And then we're going to do a new text, and it's going to be parentheses space, just so that we have spaces between all of those different things if they display. Just like that. And I did the right number of pluses, so I have pluses separating each of those statements, which is great. Okay. So now, if I go to test, and let's get a couple knives here. Got 1 knife, got a couple knives. Alright. So let's see, pick up a knife, sword, just pick it all up. Okay. Looking in my inventory now, I can see that I have 4 knives, and I can still equip it like normal. I can also do that. Now, my other items right now show that I have 0. And that's because I haven't set a quantity yet, right, for those initial pickups. So now I need to go in here and to each of those objects and repeat that same line of code. So actually I can just take, let's go to my knife here real quick. And all I need to do is quickly copy that there. We need to do this for this guy as well. Let's put that under the same ones. Drop that on top of that guy. On the scepter. On the warrior axe. And shield. And I think I only have the apple. Yes. And let's do the apple too. So if I wanted to, I could do like a bushel of apples and do like 2 or say, but we'll keep it for 1 right now. Okay, so after adding all the quantities to all the objects, I also need to add the logic here to the knife. So I'm just going to copy this this whole line of the not equipped, and that it's actually going to be the same for every other object. So I'll just delete that, go there, on the sword, same thing, shield. So we need to make sure that these are all checking if they're similarly named items on pickup. So sometimes it's good too to make sure your systems are in place before you branch this out and have 25 different items, and then it makes it a lot longer of having to go through and adjust all these. And finally, the blueberry. Okay, great. So now that those have all the logic, let's just go to test. And let's try to get a bunch of apples here. Okay, I got 1 apple, 2 apple. Okay, let's pick this all up. So now we're gonna see a new problem as I open this up. So you can see everything appropriately stacks. I got 3 knives. I have 1 of each blueberry, stone, and that, and I have 3 apples. So now when I go to consume an apple, though, we just added this whole eating from their inventory in this episode. If I choose to eat it, it's actually going to destroy all of those. So look, we want to adjust that. We don't want that to be the case. So if I go back now to my inventory brain, so if you remember up here on the second page, this is the logic that it guides, determines if I'm eating or not. And particularly here is when I end up destroying the object at the end after it does this check. So what we need to do is go check the quantity. So we only want to get rid of a quantity if there is one. So when it intersects the global heal, we know that we are going to try to heal. So let's now go to check the quantity of that object. So it quantity, when it is greater than 1, so when there's more than 1, all we need to do is actually decrement its quantity. So math decrement by 1. So we're only eating 1 apple at a time. That's all we need. And then what we need to say is else. So if this is not the case, so if there's only 1 left or even less than 1, which shouldn't happen, we're going to actually move all of this logic now underneath that. So if that's not the case, then we're going to do all these things where we get rid of the item from our inventory and we destroy it, and then we compensate for the Y offset or if the inventory selection changes. Okay, so let's try to get a bunch of apples this time and see what that looks like. Got 1 apple. Oh, perfect. All right. And apple sword. Okay, cool. So now I have 3 apples. So now if I choose to eat it, I'm only going to take 1 away, and I heal. And then I can equip a knife. I can go back and heal. And then finally, if I eat my last apple, it'll take it out of my inventory correctly. And then I have my sword. I can switch between my different swords here. So, okay. Well, I think that just does it for this episode. That's quite a long one. So again, we covered how to add food to our inventory and eat it from there. We covered how to make coins into a real currency. And then we also talked about how to make quantities in our inventory so all these different items and food stack up with each other. So stay tuned. So in the next episode, we're going to actually introduce some ice magic. So we're going to add a new spell here that we can switch to, and we're going to see how to get a new ability when we level up. So it's going to be conditional depending on what our level of our character is. So stay tuned for that, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks.